Greek mythology is one of the most recognizable and famous in the world. The 12 gods of Olympus, demigods, destiny, and trials of character and virtue can all be found in the myths and stories passed down from the ancient Greeks. In fact, myths from ancient Greece are so prevalent and ingrained in Western culture as a whole that even expressions we use today come from them. The Midas touch, being tantalized, carrying the weight of the world, and many more come from ancient Greek myths. So here are the top 10 of them. Number 10. The Trojan Horse. The legendary battle between the kingdom of Troy and the Greek army includes many intriguing legends, but the most famous is the tale of the Trojan Horse. After 10 years of fighting, the Greek army got bored of the battle and devised a plan to eventually break the walls of Troy. Odysseus, the clever hero, proposed that the Greek troops should breach the walls using deception. They built a massive wooden horse in 3 days, destroyed their tents, and sailed just out of sight, leaving Sinon behind to inform the Trojans that they had actually gone home. However, Odysseus and a few others stayed hidden within the hollow horse. The Greeks had etched an inscription on the horse, claiming that it was a gift to Athena, and Sinon was able to persuade the Trojans that the offering was genuine. Despite some Trojans' doubts that the horse was a trap, they rode it into town and began rejoicing. Odysseus and the other Greeks, who was hidden inside the horse, stepped out into the city in the middle of the night, lighting the beacons at the tops of the wall to signal the Greek fleet's return. The Greek army was able to ultimately breach the walls of Troy and win the battle thanks to this tactic. Number 9. Icarus. Daedalus, who built the labyrinth, was imprisoned in a tower in Crete with his son Icarus by King Minos in order for him not to reveal the actual nature of the Minotaur. Daedalus eventually devised a fantastic method to escape the tower. He would collect feathers and put them together with wax to make wings. He eventually created 2 pairs of wings, one for himself and one for Icarus. Daedalus told his son not to fly too near the sun, or the wax will melt and the wings will break apart. Icarus ignored his father because he was too enthralled by the miracle of being able to fly. He soared too near to the sun, his wings shattered, and he crashed into the water. Number 8. Sisyphus. Sisyphus was Corinth's cunning king. When his time came to die, Thanatos, the god of death, came to him with chains. Sisyphus was unfazed. Instead, he requested that Thanatos demonstrate how the shackles work. He then tricked the deity and imprisoned him with his own chains. People stopped dying once Thanatos was caught. This became a major issue until Ares liberated Thanatos. Sisyphus was aware that he would be abducted, but he asked his wife not to bury his body. When he arrived in the underworld, he complained that his wife had not given him proper burial rituals and that he lacked the funds to pay the ferryman to transport him over the river Styx. Hades felt sympathy for him and let him return to life to force his wife to perform rites for him. Sisyphus, on the other hand, refused to return to the underworld and lived out his days. When he died a second time, the gods punished him by making him push a boulder up a slope. The boulder would roll back down as soon as it reached the summit, and Sisyphus would have to start all over again for all eternity. Number 7. Narcissus and Echo. Narcissus was famous for his stunning beauty, and one day in the forest, the mountain nymph Echo came upon him and fell in love with him. Narcissus became aware that someone was following him and shouted out to Echo, repeatedly yelling, "Who's there?" only to have Echo echo his words. Echo eventually appeared and attempted to hug Narcissus, only to have him reject her and send her away, leaving her heartbroken. This enraged Nemesis, the goddess of vengeance, who led Narcissus to a pool deep in the woods, where he saw a mirror of himself as a young man. He didn't understand it was his own reflection until he fell in love with it and couldn't get away from it. Trying to get nearer to it, he fell into the lake and drowned. This is where the word narcissism comes from. Number 6. Medusa. Medusa was one of the Gorgons, a creature with snakes sprouting on her head instead of hair. Her glance could turn anyone into stone. Out of the 3 Gorgons, she was the only mortal sister. Perseus murdered her with the assistance of Athena, who handed him a mirror so that he would not face Medusa's gaze with his own eyes, but rather with his back to her. While Medusa was sleeping, he concealed and grabbed her head, hiding it in a special bag because it could still turn people to stone. Number 5. 12 Labors. Hercules, the greatest of Greek mythology's divine heroes, was the son of Zeus and the mortal Alcmene. There are several legends about Hercules' bravery and courage, but the most famous revolves around the 12 labors he was forced to complete. Driven mad by the goddess Hera, Heracles slew his own children, and to atone for his crimes, he had to perform 10 tasks or labors set out by his archenemy, Eurystheus, who eventually raised the number to 12. These were some of the most dangerous and seemingly impossible feats, such as slaying the Nemean lion and capturing Cerberus. Number 4. Prometheus. Prometheus was one of the first titans to be overthrown by Zeus and the other Olympians. He was also one of the few people who survived Tartarus. Prometheus was often in conflicts with Zeus, and after Zeus forbade humans from using fire, Prometheus famously stole it and returned it to humanity. He was tied to a rock in the Caucasus Mountains for eternity as punishment for his misdeeds. Every day, an eagle, which is Zeus's emblem, would soar to the rock and eat Prometheus's liver. Because he was eternal, his liver would regenerate, only to resume the cycle the next day. Hercules eventually liberated Prometheus from his captivity. Number 3. Theseus in the Labyrinth. Theseus was a mythical hero and one of Athens' founders. His slaying of the Minotaur and escape from the labyrinth were two of his most famous exploits. Pasiphae, the wife of King Minos of Crete, had an illegitimate son with a Minotaur, a half-man, half-bull beast. Instead of murdering the monster, King Minos imprisoned him in a labyrinth, where he also imprisoned his enemies, who were usually unable to escape and became food for the Minotaur. Every year, the Athenians were compelled to send 7 men as a sacrifice to the Minotaur, which greatly enraged Theseus. Theseus eventually traveled to Crete, despite his father's desires, to slaughter the Minotaur and break the cycle of violence. There, he met Ariadne, King Minos' daughter, who fell in love with him and resolved to help him. She handed him a long thread and instructed him to unwind it in the labyrinth so he might escape after killing the Minotaur. Theseus was successful in killing the beast, escaping the labyrinth and returning to Athens with Ariadne. Number 2. Hades and Persephone. Apart from explaining where man comes from and how we became to create civilization, the Greeks also used their myths to explain the origins of natural phenomena, such as the seasons. Why do we have summer and winter? Persephone, the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, was responsible for this for the ancient Greeks. Persephone was kidnapped by Hades, the god of the underworld, and carried away with him. This devastated her mother, Demeter, and since she was linked to vegetation, her sadness caused crop failure, and everyone began to hunger. Zeus urged Hades to send Persephone to Demeter above ground, but Hades tricked Persephone into eating the pomegranate of the underworld and binding her there. Eventually, a compromise was reached, whereby Persephone would spend the winter months in Hades and the rest of the year with Demeter, and this explains the origins of the seasons. And number 1. Pandora's box. Zeus, enraged that humanity had the fire because of Prometheus, resolved to get revenge. She was the first one ever, and she was named Pandora, the one with all the gifts. And she did have many gifts. Each god gave her one. Athena bestowed her with intellect, Aphrodite with beauty, Hera with devotion, and so on. Hermes, on the other hand, bestowed upon her curiosity and cleverness. When she was finished, the gods dressed her up to the nines, and Zeus gave her as a gift to Prometheus' brother, Epimetheus. Despite Prometheus' warning not to take any gifts from Zeus, Pandora's beauty and numerous charms deceived him. He ignored his brother's caution and married Pandora. Zeus sent Epimetheus an elegant sealed box as a wedding gift and told him not to open it. Epimetheus agreed and hid the box beneath the bed he shared with Pandora and urged her not to open it. For several years, Pandora carefully and genuinely obeyed the warning. Her curiosity got more with each passing day, and the urge to peek into the box became unbearable. She retrieved the box from beneath the bed and opened it one day while her husband was away. The lid was ripped open immediately, and a black smoke shot out into the globe, unleashing all horrors on humanity: war, starvation, strife, plague, death, and suffering. But together with all the evils, one good sprung out as well, like a bird dispersing all the darkness: hope. And those were our top 10 Greek stories. There are countless more, so let us know if you would like a part 2. Until next time.